Principal sir, shall we start the program?
Yeah,
sir.
please.
Yes sir. Ravi sir.
Sir, students join అవుతున్నారు ఇంకా అలో చేశారా అందరికి?
అందరినీ అలో చేశాం.
కొంచెం టెక్నికల్ గా ప్రాబ్లం ఉందన్నారు. అలో కావట్లేదు అన్నారు. ఎంటర్ కాదండి.
We have allowed almost all the people, sir. There is no waiting room now. They can directly connect the webinar.
Okay, sir. Fine. Thank you.
Sir, shall we start the program, Principal sir?
Yeah, please, sir. Sino.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Sir, good morning, sir. Principal sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr.
Yeah.
Sir.
ఎక్కడ రవి?
ఇంట్లోనా సార్? ఇంట్లో నుంచి జాయిన్ అయ్యాను. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hello, సంపత్. అది స్టూడెంట్స్ ఏం టెక్నాలజీ ఏం లేదండి. అందరూ మీటింగ్ రూమ్ లో అందరూ ఆలోచిస్తున్నారు.
A very good morning to one and all. I am Dr. B. Muhammad Ishaq on behalf of Shantaram College of Pharmacy, extending my warm welcome once again to this day 2 of the international webinar on pharmacological screening methods conducting by Shantaram College of Pharmacy. Thank you so much for one and all for being with us and sparing your time even in this holiday. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to take the privilege of welcoming our beloved principal, Dr. C. Madhusudan Chetty, to this webinar. Please welcome, sir. I extend my warm welcome to the co-convener of this event, Dr. M. Srinivasul, sir, Director R&D Shantaram College of Pharmacy, to this webinar. Please welcome, sir. I also welcome the coordinators of the event, Dr. Shivaya, Head Department of Pharmacology, and Mr. Ravi Kumar, Professor Department of Pharmaceutics, who worked really hard to make this event a grand success. Warm welcome you, both of you, sir. With a huge respect, I welcome today's keynote speaker, Dr. Yashoda Krishna, Associate Professor at the United States International University, Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time, sir. Thank you. Welcome you, sir. I extend my warm welcome to all HODs, teaching and non-teaching staff and as well as students of Shantaram College of Pharmacy to this webinar. Welcome you all. Last but never the least, I heartily welcome to the students, staff and other participants from various colleges and universities to this webinar. Welcome you all once again. With this short welcome note, I request Dr. M. Srinivasul, sir, the co-convener of this event, to open his remarks on this occasion. Please, sir.
Thank you, Ishaq. Good morning and welcome to this second day of international webinar on pharmacological screening methods organized by Innovation and Incubation Cell of Shantaram College of Pharmacy. My hearty welcome to today's technical experts, keynote speakers, Janapati Yashoda Krishna sir, Associate Professor, Program Leader of United States International University, Nairobi, Kenya. And I also welcome another speaker, the afternoon session speaker, Dr. Tippeswamy B.S., Assistant Professor, Head Department of Medical Sciences, Shakra University, Saudi Arabia. I welcome all the principals of various colleges, HODs, professors, students to this wonderful session. And as you all know, today's program we are conducting to make the student aware about the various subject aspects which are not included in the curriculum. We are trying to bridge the gap between the professional requirements and the academic needs. So in this connection, the Shantaram College of Pharmacy, under the great visionary, Dr. M. Shantiramulu sir, our Director Admin Ashok Kumar sir, and our dynamic principal sir, who is always supporting and giving a lot of guidance to make these events continuously throughout the year in the Shantaram College of Pharmacy. Really, and we are doing this with a great quality expert members, topics which are quite helpful for the students community and also for the faculty to make their academic performance much better, and they can elevate their research skills which are badly required for the country today. And hence I welcome one and all the members And I thank all the student community, faculty members of the different colleges and universities in and around the world for this session. Thank you one and all for cooperating this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request our dynamic principal, Dr. C. Madhusudan Chetty Garu, convener of this program, to talk few words on this occasion. Please, sir.
Yeah, so I welcome Dr. Yashoda Krishna to for a valuable speech on our theme, the screening of new bioactive molecules. Yeah, Dr. Krishna is one of my student, and I feel proud that is working in Kenya, so in the reasonable, right post, and I hope would like to be utilize their services for to benefit of the students. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Krishna. Please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now it's the time to listen to our keynote speaker, Dr. Yashoda Krishna Garu, who is connecting directly from the Kenya. Thank you so much for spending with us, sir. But before to that, I would like to request Dr. Chanakya to introduce the speaker to the participants. Over to you, Chanakya.
Thank you, sir. It's my privilege to introduce today's speaker.
Kindly
Dr.
switch on your video also, Chanakya.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
It is my privilege to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Janapati Yashoda Krishna, sir. I welcome you, sir. Sir has completed his diploma in pharmacy in 1998 from SV Government College, SV Government Polytechnic College, Tirupati. Later on, sir has pursued B Pharmacy in 2003, completed in Jawaharlal Technological University, Hyderabad. Later, sir has pursued Masters in Pharmacy in Pharmaceutical Chemistry in School of Pharmaceutics, Rajiv Gandhi Pradyogiki Vidyalaya, Madhya Pradesh. Later, sir has pursued his PhD in Pharmaceutical Sciences from JNTU, Anantapur. And sir has been very involved in the academics since from the initial days itself. Sir has started as a lecturer in Ramana College of Pharmacy, Bangalore during August 2002 to 2003. Later on, sir has joined as an assistant professor in Ram Reddy College of Ram Reddy Memorial College of Pharmacy, Kadapa, in the Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry. Later, sir also has worked as an assistant professor in Tirumala College of Pharmacy, Naziabad, Telangana. Sir has worked as an associate professor has also worked as a principal for two colleges. One is Sri Sharda College of Pharmacy, Bohingur, Telangana, and later in SVIPS College, Vanginapalli, Telangana. Later, sir has extended his academic teaching to international level, where he has joined the organization of Melekil University, Ethiopia. He worked as an assistant professor over there. And sir currently is working as an associate professor and program leader in United States of International University, Nairobi, which is the oldest among the 9 universities outside of the United States, accredited by WSCE UCCA. Sir has also completed his has guided M-Pharmacy thesis for 17 students, as well as B-Pharmacy for 15 project. Sir has guided 15 B-Pharmacy students as well in their projects. Sir is a life member of fellow in International Congress of Chemistry and Pharmacy. Sir is also a registered pharmacist, editorial member in highly valued journals like International Journal of Innovative Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, Bioequivalence and Bioavailability International Journal. Reviewer, sir is working as a reviewer for British Journal of Pharmaceutical Research, and also working as International Journal for Nutrition and Metabolism. With this short introduction, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Janapati Yashoda Krishna, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Chanakya. Thank you so much for your excellent introduction of our today's keynote speaker. Now, I request Yashoda Krishna, sir, to take out the session. Over to you, sir, please.
Sir, are you able to visualize my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, okay, sir. They're clear now, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Chanakya, and thank you, Dr. Ishq. And with due respect to my guru, Dr. Madhusudan Chetty, sir, I would like to start my session. Today morning, I am once again once again to this session. I think continuously Shanti Ram College of Pharmacy is doing some webinars as Professor Srinivasulu, Director of R&D, has told that it is continuously giving the bridge between the academics to the students. I once again congratulate the institution, the principal, the leader, and other his team. So today topic, so some of you might have studied, so for them it may be as a refreshing course. For the students, please try to concentrate on. If you haven't read, you can try to learn something on this Sunday. You have entered into this webinar on Sunday, so you need to learn something and go out at the end of the day. So students, be attentive at any point of doubt. If you have no, please note down at the end of my lecture. I will try to clarify as much as possible. So today's topic is preclinical models in cancer. Preclinical models in cancer, their utility and limitations. It's nothing but utility is how, advantage, limitations. So the cancer can be done with the picture. You can see it, you see cell culture lines, animal models, so then organoids. This is a artificial organ, which is like similar to organ present in our body. So suppose if you want to test liver cancer, you can generate liver cancer, liver separately and test it. Tested. This organoid can grow or multiply, or what happened? No, for 4 to 5 weeks. 4 to 5 weeks. You know about animals. Then you people also know the cell culture, sir. So in animal models, one of the important key thing is that the difference between normal animals, what we are using, and here in cancer, particularly cancer, what happened? The immunity has to be reduced, and otherwise cancer cannot grow. So this is the very important thing. And so the handling, the price, safety, what is that, aseptic conditions, completely different. And what are you are seeing, this rat will not be 200 rupees, and which you are performing the experiment for anti-inflammatory activity. It will be more than $2,200. Please equivalently calculate it. So you cannot perform the cancer test with normal conditions which are present in our laboratory. It has to be done in a, it has to be equipped in a different manner. Even if you try to do with organoids, same way. Even with the cell culture. Okay, thank you. So let us go to next slide. So what do you mean by preclinical studies? So I will try to give something information about preclinical studies. Then slowly I will go about animals, what type of animals. Then I will try to emphasize on again in vitro, more on animal models, less about in vitro models. Otherwise, no, the lecture will become very lengthy. So please try to get then some of the advantage with the doing fasting. huh? What happens then, comparing some Nobel Prize winners, and bringing our even traditional input how to control the cancer. So please, students, be attentive and learn something on this Sunday. You people have come on this Sunday. So preclinicals, the name itself indicates, you see, the name itself indicates preclinicals. Pre means something before clinicals. So before clinicals means testing of drug on humans. So it's known as, so before testing a drug on humans, you are performing something on animals. then it is called as preclinical studies, or it is also called as non-clinical studies. Non-clinical studies. So let us learn what do you mean by that term. So preclinical trials are laboratory tests of new drugs as well as medical devices. So for example, scanning equipment you have performed, or IV set, you have new type of IV, that also will come, that also has to pass these preclinicals and clinical trials, or insulin injection, whatever the devices which we are using nowadays has passed these preclinical studies. So that's what we, even drugs, generally we think it's done only onto drugs. Even to medical devices also it's applicable. And where does this testing is done? On animal subjects. What we do on to see whether the treatment really works. Suppose if the drug is for diabetic, we need to see whether the drug is working for that, and to assess safe to test on safe to test before on humans. And so it is like a bridge between what is that, human testing and drug discovery process. Drug discovery processor. So it is done before clinical trials or human testing. In simple words, if you want to tell that, if you want to communicate to normal people, you can tell that preclinical studies are done on animals before testing humans. So we are so cruel that in order to protect humankind, we are testing on animals. So now the main goal of preclinical studies are to determine the safety data. Very important, safety. Now you people might be observing every day, some of the COVID vaccines is in this phase. It has been stopped. In all that, what is the main primary factor? The safety data is the same factor that we are testing on. Now, products may be, what are the products? As I told, medical devices, drugs, gene vaccine therapies, etc. All these can be tested. Listen. So some of the pictures, you see, the picture itself indicates that we are testing on animals. You people might be doing in this in your laboratory. See how to handle. So these are the some of the pictures which can help you to remember. Next, done. See, in discovery process, what we do, there are three phases in discovery and development. First is actual discovery, next is preclinicals, and next is developmental. So in discovery process, what we will do, we will identify the candidates, drug-like candidates. There are some properties you people might have known. If not, you can check it on Lipinski Rule 3, Lipinski Rule 5. That like drug-like properties. What they should do, they should bind to the target. What is this target? Target is a protein or a carbohydrate or an enzyme or an amino acid or nucleic acid which is present in our body. So we are testing our drug to the binds or elicit an action to the target. What is the target? Again, I'm repeating it. Because many of them are students. Target is nothing but a part of body which is present in our body. What is the nature of the target? It can be a carbohydrate or an enzyme or amino acid or a protein or a nucleic acid or DNA, anything. So in preclinical, so whatever the drugs, we can't tell drugs, we can tell as hit to lead. Hit is a, what can I tell? In simple words, more chance of drug converting into a lead. Hit is that, and the one which is passing through high throughput screening, then it is known as hit. Then the successful hit it will be converted to lead. Then successful compounds will convert into a drug. Then after passing this step, then what happens next step is that preclinical studies. Preclinical studies. What we do here, as we learned in previous slide, they are done on animals. They're done on animals. So previously we can do it on, what is that, enzymes, combinatorial oral synthesis, all this will be inputted. The equipment used in here is that one. Next, we are doing it on animals or cell culture or organoids, as I shown in the first slide. So what we are going to assess again, again I am repeating the same sentence on safety, efficacy, and toxicity on animal models. So as I told that it's a speed breaker or a bridge for us. So if previously in 19th centuries, you might have studied what is that, sulfonamide tragedy, thalidomide tragedy. Then some of the, what is that, many drugs tragedies happened, and which we haven't seen. This is the best generation what we are living on. The best generation. Still we people be complaining on us, on our life fund, but it is one of the best what is that, generation what we are living today. So what happened in those tragedies? No, lot of people died, like pandemic what we are seeing, what we never visualized and never thought of that one. So same way, there are many people died. Then slowly governments have started telling that you need to perform animal studies. So the damage to the animal studies, no one will question. But nowadays, some CPC new regulations has come, but still no, we are doing on animals. So it's like a speed breaker or a bridge to protect us. Then after that, after assessing the safety efficacy, then moving to human, we are testing on a human healthy voluntaries, and especially healthy voluntaries. For cancer we can also use what is that, even patients. You know that double blind study, single blind study, all these will come under the clinical trials, and even here also we can do, but here more that concept double blind study, uh, uh, these studies will be done more in the clinical trials, phase 1, phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So what you do here, safety efficacy in humans we are doing, here it is animals we are doing it. So this is regarding this slide. So let me go to next slide. And so again, you can see the diagram. See, if the number of compounds, successful stories is very few one. Very few are successful. Suppose if you take 10,000 compounds initially as a hits or lead something, only for example 250 compounds will pass preclinical studies. And so you can see the time zone here at the bottom. Time zone is given something around 6.5 years it takes. And then you have to submit to regulatory authorities. What is it, IND submission, the investigational new drug, IND, investigational new drug. This is an application which you have to submit to FDA, Food and Drug Administration. It is in US, or you can submit even to the local bodies pertaining to your country, pertaining to our country. Then phase 1, you can see the number of volunteers we can use, 20 to 100 volunteers we can use. Phase 2, 100 to 500 volunteers. Phase 3, it's a big process, 1,000 to 5,000. Nowadays, you can see it in COVID vaccine. They're performing 30,000 to nearly 30,000. Why? Because we are doing it for a shorter period of time. It is very difficult to pass vaccine than the normal drug gun. It takes more time, but we are shortcutting that. That's why the for COVID is increased. Then after successful, after the drug is successful here, you can see it. 5 compounds may be successful. Maybe I'm telling again. Then you need to submit again NDA is submitted, then FDA will review. You see, for reviewing itself, they're taking 2 years. Then finally, it is into the market. It is introduced into the market. And next. So why we are going now? We are going to our topic. So small drug design process I made, making of medicines with the help of animals. Why we need to use them? Because there are similar structural activities between human as well as animals. Same lung, same heart, liver, kidney, intestine, but the size, only difference is that's the size. And we are little huge. We can compare to them, we are huge, they are smaller. And even the genetic quantity is almost similar. And so it's necessary, so new drugs must be tested and in animals before human clinical trials to ensure safety of patients and volunteers. So this is an volunteers are giving their life, they're giving life to the future generation, so we need to take some care. So it's like a speed breaker. Again and again, I'm using this statement. And so it's like a speed breaker to assess the safety, efficacy, and toxicity of the drug or any device. So even genetic are similar. For example, you see, humans and mice share virtually same set of genes. You might have seen, you see, in our drugs, insulin, procaine insulin, porcine insulin, pig insulin, all this, you see, same insulin we are taking, only few amino acids difference is there. So because of similarity, that's why we use animals. Next, then steps involved in preclinical studies. How do you do that? First thing is that identify the target. I told you what do you mean by target, which is present in our body or disease organ. Then develop bioassay. You can develop your own bioassay or cell culture. Even before testing it to animals, we are doing little thing on enzyme binding and all this, like a high throughput. Then screen the chemical compounds in bioassay. We can use animals now. Then establish toxic doses. This is very important. And what dose? It's very toxic. So establish toxic dose, and at what dose the drug is effective. At what dose? See, for some example, for sedative hypnotics, 0.5 mg we are using, and 500 mg we are using. Or for some of the for example, carvedilol, we are using 3.125 mg. It is an anti, what is it? CHF drug, carvedilol, beta blocker, very good drug, now mostly prescribed. You see the dose? How this is used. And for example, as paracetamol, you see 650 we are using. And the same paracetamol we are prescribing between 75 to 150 mg for cardiovascular or antiplatelet drug. These all studies we are doing here. We are trying to establish on the animals. Then we can do it on humans. Then again, we will study about ADME and mechanism of action at what receptor, all this. Then after this, you need to apply to FDA. That is nothing but investigational new drug. You need to file. IND, investigational new drug you need to file. Then after passing of all this, if FDA or local authorities tell yes, then for us is it DCC, then it leads to clinical trials to testing on humans. Next, what so what are the types of studies we perform in clinical trials and preclinical trials? What are the types of tests we observe on? So we can do it. So screening tests are like isolated organs. You can do it on bacterial culture. uh, General observations you are done. So change in color, weight, body temperature, uh, all these general observations, or losing of hair, all these will be observed in this studies. And then confirmatory test we can do it. And whether the drug, suppose if the drug is for antimicrobial, you can do some confirmatory test. Then analog activities. So if you are performing structural activity relationship, all the analogs also should be can be subjected to preclinical trials. Then establishing mechanism of action. Then systemic pharmacology like quantitative test and pharmacokinetic profiles is done. Then even toxicity studies can be done. So these are the types, some of the types which we can do it by clinical trials and preclinical trials. Now, so next you see, what is the importance of preclinical trials? So previously I told roughly as safety, efficacy, assessing toxicity, safety and efficacy. So let us go little one slide on. So determine the dose, like lethal dose, toxic dose, pharmacological effective dose, sublethal dose, what is AUC, area under the curve, all will be determined in this sentence. And the determining what is elimination phase, uh, observing phase, excretion phase, all this is assessed in this end. Then one more important thing is that why we need to perform is that it is the requirement for the regulatory bodies. I told you, like sulfonamide tragedy, thalidomide tragedy. These are the biggest tragedies, uh, uh, which our ancestors have seen and has observed. So then the government has started using of these preclinical studies. And what we need to, the regulatory bodies require good laboratory practices, GLP, all this is interrelated. And you can bring some of the concept of good laboratory practice. And so then the good laboratory practices has come on. Then as a excuse me, okay, as a ethical point, it is necessary to check the safety of a drug on animals before starting clinical trials. So this is also same one. Then to assess toxicity studies like carcinogenicity, reproductive toxicity, teratogenic potential, uh, repeated dose toxicity, all these we can assess by preclinical study. Then kinetic profiles. Then one more important thing is that by what route of drug to be administered can be also assessed by preclinical trials. By preclinical trials. So let us go to next slide. So this is one more organization which has played very important role drug safety, and OECD. Yeah? You people might be mentioning every time OECD 420 guidelines in your PhD thesis. And what do you mean by OECD? Organization for Economic and Cooperation and Development. It not only assesses the safety of drugs, it also plays very important role in trade. And India is also very important role in this OECD organization. So there are some rules, and you can see some of the important things only I placed here. Say 420, which we use most of the time. Acute and oral toxicity is studied here. Acute oral toxicity. Many of our PhDs, they mention this and OECD guidelines 420. That is acute oral toxicity as done on fixed dose method. Then 423, acute oral toxicity class method. Then acute oral toxicity up down method. Then 402, acute dermal toxicity. So these are the numbers, and then acute dermal irritation, corrosion. For example, sanitizers. All our sanitizers should pass these two now. We need to test by these two guidelines. And then if you are testing an anti-asthmatic drug, we need to follow 403. Then if you are testing on eye preparations on 405, then skin sensitivity, even this. Then 407, 28 days repeated oral toxicity studies on rodents. 408, all this now, if you go and type on Google and see OECD 420 or 408, you will get the rules and regulations. And so next 409. So these, and still there are some more. We can see it next slide. Then 410, 90 days repeated dermal toxicity. All these. 452, combined chronic toxicity and carcinogenicity. So these are the OECD guidelines, and which we need to follow before testing an animals and on testing on animals. So let me go now. What type of animals? See under each slide, wherever I have placed the reference. I placed the reference. So what type of animals we need to be used? And you can use small animal to big animals. You can see in this picture. Small animals, then dogs, non-human primates like monkey, chimpanzee, we can use them. So suitable large animal model of a cancer would improve the results of therapeutics and large animal models. So if you use, no, it is very good done. So how many animal models you can perform on? At least two species. I'm going into cancer and to the cancer. At least two species is required. Two species data, whether it is rodent or non-rodent. At least two species data we need to provide to the regulatory authorities. Then why we need to get the species difference? You might have learnt in immunology. So some species are active, some species are inactive. All this how we studied, this is the information. Here you get it. So what are the animals? You see, for example, rodents, rats, mouse, engineered mouse models, engineered. That's what I'm telling. We will not use normal rats for cancer activity, because they also have immunity. In order to grow a cancer, or in order to convert it into cancer, your immunity has to go down. On so that's why we are using engineered mouse with important tool for studying mechanism associated with cancer biology. So rats, mouse, engineered mouse we can use. Non-rodents like dog, rabbit, pigs, transgenic porcine models, apes, zebrafish. This is now very important, and we can discuss, we can see it in zebrafish, their importance and everything. Then small animal models for screening often fails in clinical trials. So repeated test we need to perform. And there are some cases I have placed in the slides, and where the drug is very effective up to phase 2, then they withdrawn. So that's why small animal models often fails. And I'm telling about the drug has come up to phase 2 clinical. Phase 2 means it's a clinical trial. Then they have withdrawn. They have withdrawn from the test run. But it is used for another cancer. Let us see. So let us see some of the epidemiological cancer. Why we need to test? Why we need to develop new models? Huh? Why we need to do testing animals and develop new cancer models? Epidemiological figures. If you see it, no, how many people are suffering from the world? In the world, we can then you can see the importance. Uh, so nearly 18.1 million cases has there till now on cancer, and it can be more than and 9.6 million deaths in 2018. Nowadays we are not getting the data for cancer. It is only get data for the COVID, and then it is anticipated that the figure can grow still more. It was 18.1, now it can go to 25.1 million cases by 2025. Then globally 1 in 6 death may be due to cancer, maybe due to cancer. And so all this, it is very important now. See, so the development and investigation of new diagnostic models and innovative therapeutic tools and drugs are critical for reducing global cancer burden. So you need to new drug testing you need to perform on. Now you see we are testing on biopsy. Now there is one more method which is known as cell line cancers. Huh? S- Cell line cancers, and which is which they are directly with the help of nanotechnology. They're picking out from our blood the cancer cells, and testing it. No need of biopsy now. That new diagnostic models, all these are the new diagnostic models. And then animal models serves as a crucial role for bridging the gap between fundamental diagnostic and therapeutic discoveries and human clinical trials. Clinical trials. So this is the some information regarding epidemiology of cancer. So this the figure you see very alarming, 18.1 million. 25, it is going to affect even 25.1. So these, because of this, no, we need to give new models. Uh, we have to improve the existing models. So let us go. Animal models used as a biochemical research for cancers. For cancers. So there are two different methods: in vivo model, in vitro model. Two types. So in vivo model and in vitro model. I will emphasize mostly on in vivo models. So here also again it is divided into two types, that is small animal models, large animal models. So first is zebrafish model. Then zebrafish is very important, that they have sent even this zebrafish to the what is that, to the moon, this and to see, to test. They satellites, no, when not satellites, and whenever humans are going, astronauts, whenever they are going to the space, no, along with them they take some animals. One among this successful animal is zebrafish, and it has survived and come back. Not only humans they sent other organs to test. And zebrafish model, then mouse model, rat model, insect models. Nowadays, no, they're testing on insect models, and insects also they're testing, like caterpillar, all this. And then small animal hepatocellular carcinoma model, like organoids, what I told. especially for liver cancer. They do this. And then large animal models, cane, that nothing but dog, then porcine, nothing but pig, then OCM, oncopig, it is called as oncopigon. Name itself, you see, oncology means cancer. So this pig is specifically for the testing of cancer. Then non-human primitive models like what is that? The chimpanzee, monkeys, different types of monkeys. So this is a, so these are in vivo models. In vivo models, and we have divided into two types. That is what is it? Large animal models and uh, large animals and small animal models. And next is that in vitro models. In vitro models and transwell based models. You can study these migration essays. uh, Cancer migrates from one organ to another, that we are going to study how that. Invasion assay, same thing. Then endothelial migration assay. Then tumor microvessels model. And then predetermined ECM scaffold, microvessel self-assembly, how cancer develops angiogenesis, all this better studied with this process. And then hybrid, that is embedded ex vivo tumors and three-dimensional invasion models, three-dimensional invasion models, then vascular microfuel models, then spheroids, nothing but organoids like. So this is the two slides by which we can perform the cancer. So in vivo model, then in vitro model. Let us go and study little by little, one by one. The first, why we need to do cancer on animals, you see, to develop anti-cancer drug and to display promising results in preclinical animals. And so preclinical animal models. Here, many drugs display promising results in preclinical animal studies, but do not produce same response in humans. And why? Because of heterogeneity or complex nature, diversity characters of this cancer. So whatever, even the drugs may pass clinical or said preclinicals, still it may not come into the market. And what is the main reason? Diversity character. Then for example, I was telling, no, this is one drug, Saridijib. These are one of the important factor for cancer is that escaping immunology. It escapes our immune system. And so there are many research which is which is undergoing on this immunological, which is improving the immunity. One among that is Saridijib. This is IP 926. It was very good. It has almost, it was successful in phase 1 in chondrosarcoma. It is nothing but like a one type of bone cancer. But in later, in phase 2 trials, they found that it is not effective when the testing was done with placebo group. So the drug has been withdrawn. And so even when the drug is in clinical trials, there will be lot of research going for a cancer. No, preclinical studies will be going on simultaneously again. Now this drug, what happens now? It is in phase 3 trials for blood cancer. So here the bone cancer, it is not able to, but it is used to treat blood cancer. Phase 3 trials, still it is in the process. So that's why continuous testing, that's what I'm telling, no, promising results in preclinical trials You should not relax because of this heterogeneity or diversity character. You need to test continuously. Then you see why we need to use our companion animals and like dog, cat, rat. They live with us and why we need to test it. Huh? As we learned their genome and everything, some more things you see, because of basic research. The basic research we use genomics, proteomics, and metabolics, and the results obtained here, then we can move to the big animals like rat and still big animals. So what we do is that transnational research they are doing it. What do you mean by transnational research? Bench to bedside. So what are the research you have found in the laboratory? Immediately you are applying onto the patients. Bedside means patients. And that's what we were telling that clinical trials can be done on patients for cancer, especially for cancers. No we can use patients. Remaining other disease, we use healthy volunteers. This is different. So the results, whatever you have obtained from the laboratory, you can apply immediately to the patients. Then you can apply to the patients. Then you can also apply to the clinical trials and epidemiology. You can test it on which species it is active. All this can be done here. So this is one slide regarding that, why we need to use companion animals for the detection and treatment of cancer. Let us go to one by one models. This is zebrafish. So zebrafish is very important and for cancer study. It's very transparent and you can see all the organelle inside. Suppose if it is, what is that, if there is any problem in that organ, you can visualize clearly and you can visualize clearly. So this is one good important factor why we are selecting zebrafish as a model. And so let us see. Mainly cancer, it is also used in different fields. Let us see coming slides and 2 slides. That's all. Now, zebrafish commonly used to study the early stage of development. Early stage of development, not only cancer, it is used in many fields. And early stage development, what? Embryonic studies, where the drug is teratogenic effect, it is having, that all we can study. And then embryonic studies, because relatively fast development and transparent body, lifespan is very small and fast development it has. During the larva development stage, they also provide excellent optical clarity. I told they produce transparent body. Whatever happening inside the body, we can visualize them. So that's what we're told. Optical clarity, making them easy to study embryonic development. We told that some of the anti-cancer, anti-mitotic drugs like Taxol, Vinca alkalides, how they study with this zebrafish. Metaphase to anaphase, how they, all this can be studied inside this. Then easy to manipulate. It is also very easy to manipulate in this by transfusing mRNA, DNA, or fluorescent tags. Already the fish itself is transparent. Still, if you give fluorescent tag, you can visualize more. Micro injections, we can use it. And one more important, you see, zebrafish genome found strikingly similar to humans. So the genome of zebrafish and us is similar. And then one drawback we can see, short lifespan. The short lifespan and high reproductive capacity of zebrafish render them amenable to the high throughput screening for genetic mutations. So this is the importance of gPROFISION. Now let us go to next slide. Apart from that, see, you can see it and you can visualize everything in this diagram. You see, even they tested ketamine. Ketamine has been tested to the cancer, and ketamine model it is there. And then users, you see, apart from that, you can also perform neurodegenerative disorders. You can perform cognitive muscle dystrophy tests and autism spectrum disorder you can test, retinal disease, major depression disorder, anxiety, and like behavior. All these, also apart from cancer, all these also can be tested on gPROFISION. What is the main difference is that there are some gPROFISION doesn't have some of the organs which we have, like breast, lungs, prostate, and lung. So you cannot perform lung cancer test, breast cancer, or prostate cancer we cannot perform on. And one more major difference is that we are hot-blooded and these are a cold-blooded animals. And we need to, during our experiment, we need to control what is the temperature, lightning, this all plays very important role. Population density, water quality, nutrition, all these factors should be kept in mind while studying the cancer models on gPROFISION. So this is it. Let us go to next model. Rodents and rodent models. Many people might have known. So what is advantage, disadvantages? You see, advantages is that complete genetic information is known, then fidelity is there, clarity, then easy to handle and maintain, cost effective. I was telling, no, 200 rupees, very simple, and you can do the experiment even at home. Then vast number of commercially available rodents are available. So many laboratories are supplying animals. Cell lines are also we are having. Then especially mouse model plays very important role. And smallest animal which we can use is murine models. Disadvantages, see, humans are 3000 larger than mice. We live 30 to 50 times longer, and 105 more cell divisions in our lifespan. Then they develop cancers mainly in the mesenchymal origin. But humans, no, mainly cancers we get even here, even lymphomas we get, sarcomas we get, but mainly the cancer is related to epithelial cancers. So these are the disadvantages models, rodent models. So let us see how these models are done. Few examples. So rodent models in cancer, sir. Chemically induced models of cancer, sir. We use chemically. So laboratory cancer you can produce, and it can be infused to the rat. It can be infused to the rat, or you can add gene which is able to produce cancer, or the cell lines you can take liver cell lines and introduce into this rat and check it on. So it is nothing but like rodent xenograft cancer model. Models, and so these are the some of the models what we can do it on rodents. And Next, one more you can see it in patient derived xenograft, what we have seen in last slide, last picture. Tumor expression in PDX model, that is nothing but patient derived xenograft. So from the patient, you are taking the cancer and induced into the animals. So for example, from cancer patient, you are taking cancer or cancer cells and adding to the rats. Then from that rat, you again take out the sample and ex vivo culture and manipulations. You want to make it manipulated or increase its resistance. All these can be improved by cell line cultures, then subjecting through high throughput screening. This is one important step, and at a time 300 to 400 drugs can be tested on. So all these are cell lines, cell walls and wells and what happens? You can input the cancer cells here and add the drugs whatever you wanted and test. You can find, you see, some of the drugs were positive. That uh, those are selected as candidate drugs. Candidate drugs. They can be given to patient directly. They can be given to patients or again given to different animal models and different animals. For example, see, in one animal you can create breast cancer, in another you can create cancer, in another animal you can create a gastric cancer, in another cell. Like this, you can take different animals and give different options. Treatment A, treatment B, treatment C. Then check in which drug molecule is active. That molecule you can test it on humans. Are you getting it? So first xenograft you need to take from a cancer cell, you need to take from humans, then place it on rats. Then again you are manipulating with the help of cell lines, then placing it through this high throughput drug screening. With this we can test at a time 300 to 400. The successful ones are tested in rats and different rats. One rat you can take for selecting breast cancer, another esophagus, or another pancreatic or lung cancer, and test it. So this is a next. Again, you see, patient derived. One more method we can also perform. You see, tumor sample from the patient, cut into same type. You can see some of the examples of drugs here. Same type of experiment, but with the examples of drugs. This diagram. Cut into small fragments, grow it, and again transfer to the rat model. Again cut into what is that? Grow it, again place it into the rat. What happens to this? No, it gets some effective results. And in order to put directly to the rat and test it, no, if you do it repeatedly, no, results are better. That's why they are doing this much of experimental. In all these, no, these are the drugs and which are tested on. See, effective dose is, you see, gemcitabine. All these are drugs which act CTL4, PDL4, PD. What is that? They are, what is that? I forgot that name. Drugs which act on immunity. Immunity they act on. These drugs were active, were successful, but ineffective with doxorubicin, panib, Volarity map. Map is nothing but antibodies type 1. So this is an. So these are rat models. Then what are the rat models? What type models we can? Especially this is the uh, NSG mouse. And previously we studied about rats, and now this is, you see, NSG mouse, which is also called as NOD cystoid gamma mouse. Hmm? This is a mouse which is what is that? This laboratory produces. This is a laboratory, Jackson laboratory, which is synthesizing this mouse. The same models we have used for COVID for testing. When at the starting of pandemic, this what is that? The owner of some industry, he was mentioning about this mouse. He was telling that these NSG mouse are coming from US to here, and each mouse is to 2000 USD. The important factors is that the price, uh, safety, cleaning, the room, and all this you need to take on. Before touching, no, you can't touch like VP. We need to use PPEs. Very very costly affairs handling of this mouse and even rats, what we discussed on. Then you see what is the important thing is that they lack T cells, B cells, and natural killer cells, and even cytokine signal pathways. So all these no make them to grow cancer in them. Then you can see it, and we can also eliminate the adaptive immunity. So what happens now? They done some PRKDC mutations. All these mutations have caused them highly susceptible to get cancer. Then they also removed IL interleukin 2 receptor gamma chain, nulled. And so all these have been removed. And then you see here, I told you, I was telling you, see NOD, cystoid gamma mouse. What do you mean by cystoid? You see, severe combined immunodeficiency. Severe combined immunodeficiency animals. So what can we test with this? You can test lung cancer, epithelial cancer, leukemias, gene therapies can be tested by these models. Next, nude rat. Also, one more, you see, nude rat. It is different color. You see here also, the immunity is compromised. Nude rat is primary immunodeficient rat model available by Tyxon Biosensor. This is the laboratory which produced these animals. And it has spontaneous mutation in FOXN. This is all genes in the model in this rat. It also lacks T cells, can accept xenografts, whatever the models what we studied in previous slides. In this, all these, no, they are these two animals. They are used on. They're used on. I could have clipped this previous, then to that it could have been nice. Okay, sorry for that. So this and nude rat and NSG mouse model. So this all we can see. Next, nude rat offers unique bridge in which both anti-tumor efficacy and toxicology can be studied simultaneously. Then another major application is imaging related to xenografts, where their size assists with the imaging of fine structures. So if the tumor is within the animal, we can take the image and see a CT scan and all that we can perform. So next, then large animal models. So this is very important, and large animal models are better used What are that large animal models? Pigs. Huh? Uh, we can see it in next slide, son. All because large animal models give effective results, son. Success stories with large animal models are more than small animal models. Small animal models. See, dog we can use this is German Shepherd, and we can use dogs. And what are the cancers we can use? We can test is prostate cancer, lung cancer, skin melanoma, breast neoplasm, then osteosarcoma, carcinoma of bladder of cancer, especially kidney diseases can be performed with this. Then lymphomas we can perform it. The same concept here also, immunity should be reduced. Then only the cancers can grow on. Then apes, you see, we can also use this, but non-human primitive models are not a tumor model, but they are successful with vaccines, viral pathogenesis. We can study, and we can study. Then porcine model, pig model, porcine model, swine cancer models are also highly related to their similarity in size, anatomy, pathophysiology, metabolism, genetics, and epigenetic pathogenesis, as well as reduced cost compared to non-human primitive models. We can use them here more. And this life cycle permits enough time to develop because they are long lived on pigs. Huh? Uh, Previous, no, if you use zebrafish, few days. And if you use rat, NSG model or energy rat, few days. And but here you can see the what is that animal, this pig can survive more. So the uh, this life cycle permits enough time to develop the cancer and characterize and modulate the cancer in the swine model, and from rearing to adolescence, from small age we can test it. And the pig genome has high homology with human genome. This is also very important. Very important. So let us go to next slide. It's becoming big class, I think. So now you see, oncopig bladder cancer models, you can see it. Cancer from PDD screening from the laboratory, that is phenotype drug discovery, is known as PDD. This type of screening is used in biological research and drug research to identify small molecules, pesticides, RNAs that alter the phenotype cells organism. So the ones which are then it is selected drugs. You see here, you can see in the drug, 6 drugs are there. Selected one you are taking and doing in the preclinical rodents. Then activated uh, that cancer, no, the drug, no, you are giving to the pig. Then if it is successful, you are giving to the humans. If it is successful, then it is approved for the as a drug molecule, especially for kidney cancers. We will use these pig models. Pig models. Next, in vitro models. Advantage, you see, advantage of in vitro model. So till now we have learnt about in vivo model. So in vitro, 1 or 2 slides, sir. 1 or 2 slides. So in vitro model, uh, you can see it. The advantage of in vitro model are highly controlled conditions. Uh, but in what is that, in vivo model we can't control. It depends upon the organ and homogeneity, discovery of molecular mechanics, and reproducibility. You can perform the test whenever you want. And reproducible results you can't, but the same rat, different results. So many, we use the statistics. No, we use many rats to perform the action. Then main limitation, two-dimensional. hmm, Sometimes it's very difficult to generate the what is that specific model. hmm? These are the some of this. And next, in vivo that is in vivo model. Then we can also, they are doing some of the models is fasting. And fasting also improves cancer, protects from the cancer. And you can see the dog. And uh, dog now will not eat anything if it is sick. And the staple food for the dog is meat. Even if you give meat when it is sick, no, it will not touch. It will not touch her. So even our religious principle, we doesn't take food. And for example, Ramjan period, total daytime, they fast for 30 days. So it is a one type of protecting us from cancer. And the fasting is imbibed in our culture. In every religion, it not only Hindu religion, every religion tells. And even Christianity tells during Christmas period. So in our festivals, you see Holi, Dasara, Diwali time, Navratri, we don't perform. And especially South North Indians, no, they perform this fasting. And nowadays what they're telling, no, fasting means eating fast food. And like dosa, idli, that if you do it, no, your chance is getting more cancer. And so now one more type of fasting, you see, like intermittent fasting, like water therapy, or with the help of juices. huh? All these are by intermittent 6 hours 8 hours gap will protect us from the cancer. These are some of the tips for us for preventing cancer. And then see why I told this, no, it is out of box for us. And this the same thing, this professor, huh? uh, what is that, Oshomi, Oshomi, the cancer, he has got Nobel Prize. And he has got the Nobel Prize in 2016 or something. In 2016 he has gotten. What he has done, he found that if you perform fasting, if you perform fasting, you are protected from the cancer. So no need to do animal models, we can do by ourselves. And you can protect for us. And so how does this happens? It is nothing but autophagy, cell eating. What are the cells which play very important role is lysosome. This man, Christine D. Duo, has found lysosome in 1974. And 94. These lysosomes play very important role during autophagy. Autophagy is a process that is occurring during fasting. And so if you fast, no, as for religious culture or anything, your lifespan is increased and all the waste is removed. So these two professors have accredited by Nobel Prize for their findings, simple findings, what was there in our history. And Hmm? Was there any history for treating cancer? And then, so models and benefits for autophagy, you see. So what happens if you perform autophagy? So amino acid production, starvation adaptation, cellular clearance, suppression of degenerative diseases, tumor suppression, elimination of invasive bacteria, then development of fertilized egg, then antigen presentation cell is improved, long, you can live long period of time. And long period of time, They have done this fasting even with the yeast experiment, mouse experiment, and humans. And this professor, this this Oshomi is a Japan scientist. He has done the same and by fasting. And so how does he assess? And so even yeast no. So if you fast, know what happens? Stress, increased stress resistant, and lifespan is increased. Then you can see it in mouse. You see decreased cancer. What he has assessed is uh, fat is reduced, cancer is decreased, inflammatory diseases decreases, immune system is improved. One of the important thing I was telling, and cancer escapes from our immune system. Memory, everything is lost. Cancer is very tricky disease, and that all can be improved by fasting. And your T cell will be activated. T cell is activated when you do fasting. And so fasting associated with drinking of water will be more better. Then in humans, you can see it, and risk factors are reduced, diabetes is reduced, cardiovascular diseases are reduced, cancers are reduced, aging is also reduced. So all this you can get from these publications if you wanted. Then this is also one more model. Autophagy is also one more model. Then this is one slide. You can see it in preclinical studies on nanomedicines. Nowadays, no, nanomedicines are very important for a pharmacy point. We can see that also. So in drug is entrapped in nanoparticles. Biotargeting nanoparticle spheres, quantum dots. I forgot all these names. MNPS drugs, etc. You can input in nanoparticles. Then separation and enrichment you can do it, and then introduced into cancers in a rat. Then you can visualize this growth and everything by imaging, or you can give drugs to this animal and check how does cancer is progressing, whether the drug is activating or decreasing the cancer. You can perform it. So this is an so one more thing is that apart from all this, we need to have hope. We need to have hope. And there are many successful stories. You can see Yuvraj Singh, many Hollywood stars, Bollywood, these people have come, they suffered from the cancer and they live life. So Yuvraj Singh was affected by cancer, lung cancer, and immediately after winning our World Cup. And he was the man of the match during that period. But you can see how fast he runs. And we can observe how fast if he runs, now what happens to his lung capacity. But still, he has suffered from the lung cancer. So even after performing long during exercises and everything, we need to suffer cancer. So you need to accept that and have a hope, and you can do it. And then this heroine, how beautiful she was. In that first movies with Anil Kapoor, but because of cancer, she has suffered from alopecia, but she regained again. And you can see it in this diagram. You see this patient is suffering from benign cancer. So complete face is masked by the cancer, but still his wife kissing him. And so support, love is very important, and support to this cancer patient is very important. That's why we given love heals cancer. So this is my lecture or webinar topic. If you have any doubt, you can ask him. Sir, Dr.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
The floor is to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your much more informative lecture, sir. Yeah, now I request any of the audience, if you have any queries or doubts, you can kindly unmute your mic and you can talk to the speaker directly. Yes, if any of the participant, if anyone want to interact with the speaker, kindly you can unmute your mics and you can ask any doubts if you have.
Sure, sir. Good morning,
Yes,
Yashoda sir. I have
Good
one question. Please clarify it. When we have some synthetic molecules and when we are screening for the anti-cancer activity, initially we select it based on the chemical structure of the molecule that we are going to study. So along with that, how many cell lines do we have to select? Like, so suppose if we say we are doing on some breast cancer, or like our molecule is similar to that of the breast cancer, should we confine ourselves or our molecule to screen for the breast cancer cells, or should we also go in for any other cell lines along with the breast cancer? That is the question, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Better is that if you, because all the you people know, sir, it's all research is trial and error. So better is that you can do 2 to 3 cell lines, different cell lines. That means lung cancer or breast cancer cell lines. Maximum results you can get in, because same drug is acting. So same category for Vinca alkaloids, you see, sir, some drugs are acting on lung cancer, some are acting as leukemia. The same chemical components are acting, are used different cancers. So better is that if you use maximum cell lines, but money factor is very important here. Your results will be good, sir.
Thank you, sir. Your speech was wonderful. Your lecture was wonderful, and you have come down to the PG and UG level students where they can easily understand, and the examples which you have quoted are excellent and interesting, and not at all a boring lecture at all. It was a very informative and a very smooth going lecture, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Dr. Shiva,
Yes,
you
sir.
can talk now.
Very good morning, sir. Myself, Dr. K. Shiva, Shanthiram College of Pharmacy. Sir, I am one of your students, sir, from the P. Ramreddy Memorial College of Pharmacy.
Hello, sir.
Sir, I have one question regarding cancer development, especially solid tumors, sir.
Sir,
which route and which method is very suitable, sir, for cell lines? Sir? We want to induce solid tumor. Which route is better and which method?
Sir, in vitro model, I don't know, sir, properly.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. Fine.
Hello.
Ravi Kumar, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Ravi Kumar, sir. Yes, please.
Good morning. Good morning, Yashoda Krishna, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, I have one question, sir. As you have a sound knowledge in the cancer, my doubt and which is a universally seeking question is, how can we identify the early diagnosis of cancer, sir? As you all know, when once we feel the symptoms of the cancer, it will be on third or fourth stage of the cancer, and which will be out of our hands. Even though we're treating, it is only increases lifespan, but it is becoming untreatable completely. If it is able to identify early, then we may completely treat the patients of the cancer and make them cancer-free patients. So I would like to know the methods or ways of early identification of cancer, sir.
Sir, there are many models here nowadays. One is wait, sir. Wait. New cell line with the help of nanotechnology. That is, what is that? I'm not getting that word. Please give me.
Okay.
Wait, sir.
So there are methods available. How can a patient can identify that he's suffering from cancer? That's what. How can the people can sense there is any physical ways, or a layman can identify that he is suffering from cancer?
It's all luck, sir. We can't.
Absolutely. Because as you said, it's true, sir. In fact, to say we have faced actually one of my sibling where had a cancer, and she died recently 2 months back. We are identified only after. That's what even I studied very into the depth of about knowing of the early remedy or early identification of the cancer. I didn't find the same kind of answer I got from many of the doctors and friends also. It is only sheer luck, sir. Some may identify, some may not identify. So you may have gone through it much deeper, depth into the subject. So if you have any valuable suggestion for us, it may be helpful for one and all, because maybe more than around 100 people are there. And it is now prevailing very much. Cancer patients are increasing day by day in India and world also, because of the food habits and daily habituals.
Yes, sir.
So it is becoming necessary to find out the diagnostic methods early.
Here, sir, nanotechnology plays very important role for diagnosis and treatment both. One among that is now they are going to identify circulating tumor cells, and CTC, circulating tumor cells. It is advanced than what is the method, sir? By there are Vanc, Vancon, like that. There are some new methods, sir. How, what happened? Devices that can early detect, sir. What is that? I will tell. Wait, Nano Velcora. These are devices, sir. Cancer diagnosis systems. For example, Nano Velcora, CTC SCS, sir. Nano, if you want, you can type, sir, Nano Velcora, VELCRO.
Okay.
CTC. CTC means circulating tumor cells. This is the technique. What happens, no, sir? If you place in our body, nanotechnologists, no, they enter into our body, they will catch these cancer cells, sir. And they can find, they're telling why I came know this is that we are preparing a book chapter, sir. It is almost in final. This nanotechnology, we prepared a book chapter for IGI publications. There we learned this, sir. What is that? Vanclore. This is an apparatus which can be made into nanoparticle, and it is able to catch circulating tumor cells. So better than what is that imaging, biopsy method, or radio immunoassay, whatever the SAS methods, better than it is little advanced.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, welcome, sir. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Someone was trying to ask, sir. Someone.
Sir, myself, Ravi Kumar, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Ravi Kumar, sir.
Namaste, sir. Please.
Namaste, sir. Sir, very valuable session, sir. Today we have a very, very valuable session.
Thank you, sir.
And the most important relevant area also. Sir, for many herbal drugs, there is a broad anti-cancer activities now, sir. So how can we test for the preliminary test, sir, for the anti-cancer science?
Sir, for our setup, it is not at all possible to do anti-cancer activity, sir. We need to have that models, animals. Cell lines is the best, sir. Cell lines is the best. Uh, there is one more. What we, during my MPharm PhD, I done in IACT, sir. Thermal screening method. There also in IACT, also the apparatus have gone when we were doing. We went to other another laboratory and gone, sir. Yeah, the setup is difficult, sir. Cell lines, if you get, you can do it, sir. But you can see that I told you, no, sir, new drag and NSG model, all these are costly affairs, sir. If you have funding,
that's what, sir. Regular in vivo activities are very costly. So can we have any preliminary activities to test that plant extracts and all?
Only cell lines, sir. Cell lines. All these are costly affairs, sir. Even we also doesn't do. We just, I learned it for my convenience, for my purpose, and I telling, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all for today's session. Thank you so much for your informative session, sir. With the permission of the organizing coordinators and co-convener and convener of this program, Shantaram College of Pharmacy wish to felicitate the today's speaker, our Yashoda Krishna Garu, with the virtual felicitation. I request you to kindly accept our virtual felicitation, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Can I have a few words, sir?
Yes, please, sir, you can.
Thank you for giving opportunity, sir. With due respect to my Guru, Dr. Madhusudan Chetty, sir. And one more important member who has made me to come here is Professor Dr. M. Srinivasulu, Director of R&D, Shantiram College of Pharmacy. And I also thank Dr. M. Santiramudu, sir, Chairman of Shantiram and RGM Group of Institution, who has great vision to start. Actually, Rayalaseema is a backward place. Now it is emerging place, and you can see before pandemic, when I was in, still I am from Kadapan, my father and everyone stays there. If you go on Sunday or Friday to the bus stand or railway station, we don't get the tickets, and that itself indicates that it is emerging and everyone has come out. Most of them, I think 90% factionism has gone from Rayalaseema, I guess. All our generations are studying because of all these visionaries. What is that? Shantiram sir, he has established medical college, pharmacy, engineering. One of my siblings is also student from RGM and he has been placed. So I personally thank our sir. Then I also thank Dr. Ishq Chanikya Garu, who has introduced me, and Dr. Ravi Kumar and Dr. K. Shivaya, organizing secretary. Thank you very much for giving opportunity, sir, for giving me platform for sharing some of my knowledge, sir. Thank you, Madhusudan sir, and my friend, my senior, Srinivasan sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Now I request Mr. Ravi Kumar
it's all
sir
our
to
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I request Ravi Kumar sir to kindly propose a word of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Myself, K. Ravi Kumar, coordinator of this today's event, sir. I feel very privileged to propose a vote of thanks. On behalf of Shantiram College of Pharmacy, I extend my sincere thanks for today's eminent and renowned person, Dr. Yashoda Krishna Janapati, sir, to share his knowledge and valuable aspects, particularly in this topic, preclinical models in the cancer, which is a very emerging field and very important field in our pharmaceutical research area, sir. So thank you, sir. Thank you for enlightening the staff and the students of our Shantiram College of Pharmacy with your beautiful and nice session, valuable with both in vitro as well as the in vivo models, sir, for highlighting the anti-cancer activity. Thank you very much, sir. As you said, making a medicine with the help of animals. Really, it is very nice, sir. And I extend my thanks to our principal, sir. He is the backbone for conducting all these type of events in Shantaram College of Pharmacy. So sir is always in front line in conducting these webinars, all the faculty development programs, who always strive hard work in enriching the minds of our students and motivating all the staff members in conducting this type of the events. Thank you, sir. Thank you for principal, sir. And I extend my thanks to Dr. M. Srinivas, sir, the research director, Shantaram College of Pharmacy. So he's the person who invited all the lecturers. He pulled all the staff as well as with his beautiful coordination. We have conducted this event in a very good manner, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, M. Srinivas, sir. And I extend my thanks to Dr. Ishak, sir. So who is in the front line for the technical support and conducting this event in a very smooth manner, sir. And extend my thanks to the management, Dr. M. Shantaramudu garu, sir. So who had given the platform, okay, in this COVID situation without having any breakups. So we are conducting these programs mainly because of the encouragement from the management. So I thankful for our Dr. M. Shantaramudu garu, sir, as well as our director, Dr. D.V. Ashok Kumar, sir, who always motivate us in academic quality to ensure good academic qualities for the students and staff, and to develop good even thoughts in the research work. Sir always striving to work hard in the research areas. Thank you, sir. Last but not least, the students as well as all staff members, my coordinator, Mr. Dr. K. Shivaya, sir, who had strive hard work in conducting this event and making this event success, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I thankful for all the students, even though today is a Sunday, they all had participated in this program and made this event in a good, successful manner. Thank you very much, sir. I hand over to Ishak, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your kind word of thanks. So that's all for today's session. Thank you so much. Being a Sunday, also you have spared with us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Yashoda Krishnan.
Sir. Namaste, sir.
Thank you very much for your real valuable time, and the topic is very nice and very really just like a spoon feeding to our participants. Really is appreciable, sir. As I told you, it's not Janapati, it's a Ganapati. Yeah. So I'm very much thanks, and to my all staff team members, especially our M. Srinivaslu and Shivaya, Ravi Kumar, and Dr. Ishak. So Dr. Ishak is a backbone of these all webinars. He is doing a wonderful section in the planned manner and making the things for the facilitation to all incidents. And thank you, Dr. Ishak. And I'm very much thanks to all my team members of staff and teaching and non-teaching, and as well as the participants for this wonderful section of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for so much, and we look forward for your kind guidance in the future also, sir. Thank you. So that's all for today's session.
Sir. Thank you, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. మీ స్టూడెంట్ సార్ నేను మీ వల్ల ఉన్నాం సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ సార్. మీతో వచ్చినప్పటి నాకు తెలుగు వచ్చేస్తుంది సార్. మేము అక్కడ చదువుకునేటప్పుడు తిరుపతిలో ఫస్ట్ ఒక పెద్ద ప్రోగ్రామ్ చేశారు. మేము బయటకు వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు బుక్ జనరేట్ చేసాము. మీ గైడెన్స్ లో అడ్వర్టైజ్మెంట్స్ తెచ్చాము. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
చాలా మారిపోయింది సార్ మా కాలేజ్ కూడా. Sir had changed a lot our Shantaram College of Pharmacy.
I'm making my team to be like that, Krishna.
Thank you, sir. That's good of you, sir.
Thank you.
So success you are sharing with others. So drawbacks you are taking by yourself, I guess.
Yeah, best wishes to your friend and brother, JP Madhu.
Yes, sir. I'll inform you, sir.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So, dear participants, it's a kind note that we are going to meet once again for the last session of this international webinar sharply by 2:30 p.m. today. We'll be having a final session by Dr. Tippeswamy, sir, who is connecting live from Saudi Arabia. So, stay tuned with the same link on the Zoom. We are going to meet once again by 2:30 p.m. Thank you so much, one and all. I'm signing off. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.